Hi everyone, it is Monica here from TVandPopcorn.com, and I am here to do a review on how to get away with murder. And this is my first review. I said I wanted to go ahead and dive on in before the season finale, which is coming up a week after this particular review. And right now, as of this review, we are on episode 13, Mama's Here Now, and How to Get Away with Murder is in its first season. And it's such a great show, and that's my opinion of it so far. It took me a minute to get into it. I've been following it since the pilot aired, and initially, and there was one particular college scene that they kept showing in the beginning for like the first 6 or 7 episodes, maybe more than that. But I was like, oh my gosh, are they gonna flash back to this scene forever? But once they move past everything that's going on in the show right now, it's really picking up and it's really smooth. And there are some shocking things happening. So I want to discuss that, kind of put in my 2 cents before the finale reveal of everything and the plot twists that are coming up, and just kind of throw in my predictions that could be 100% wrong, but then I could be spot on. You never know, but we'll see. So I want to say this before I get started. If you have not caught up with the most recent episodes of How to Get Away with Murder and you want to check it out, I say go ahead and do so, and then come back to listen to my review, because I'm going to definitely be giving out spoilers. And right now I'm discussing mainly the last 2 episodes and catching up to speed on everything that's happening. So I'll be discussing She's a Murderer, and I'll also be discussing season 1, episode 13, Mama's Here Now, which was such a great episode. So go ahead and catch up, and then come on back and check me out. Listen to what I have to say. And if you want to chime in, definitely leave me some comments. I do respond to all of my comments when it comes to engaging and discussing any shows that I review. So check that out. All right, everybody, if you're still hanging in there with me, let's get this thing moving. Here's my thoughts. Let me first say I absolutely love the episode Mama's Here Now. It's the most recent episode. I enjoyed and absolutely loved Cicely Tyson as Annalise's mother. She freaking rocked it out. I loved it. Her and Annalise, or should I say Viola Davis, I want to get into the characters yet, but they had such on-screen chemistry. Cicely and Viola, I loved them two together. And Viola, her reactions and her emotions were just on point. It felt so real with someone going through what she's going through, and even having done what she's done, which at this point you know that she framed boy toy Nate, and she's framing him for the murder of Sam, which is her husband. But of course, we all know that he's innocent, and what's happening is she's torn between saving her students, which she promised that she would do, and trying to make sure that she also protects herself. Now, what's going to happen to Nate is a huge question, and that's going to be interesting. It's going to be a 2 hour finale, everybody. So I'm really excited about that, because 2 hours is a very long time for something to take place on in the TV world, and especially on this show. So I'm really anxious and curious to see what they're going to turn that 2 hour finale into. How crazy is it going to get? So as of Mama's Here Now, the last episode, we see Annalise march in after being consoled by her mother, which I'm going to get back to in just a moment. But she goes in and she speaks with Nate as he's in a interrogation room, and she hands him a note basically telling him to fire his lawyer and to call a number that she had written down on the paper. Now, who's going to represent him? Will Nate make it in jail? Because also in the up and coming trailer of the next episode, or the finale episode, we see someone walking into what looks like Nate's jail cell, and it is a guy. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Are there going to be any deaths in the finale? This is just, it's it's going to be crazy. That's all I can say. And I'm going to also jump on Wes and Rebecca in a second because that was another crazy reveal at the end of Mama's Here Now, but we'll get back to that. So, pretty much where we leave off here in this episode, or where we take off, is Annalise being shaken and torn and just tore up about what she had just done to Nate. So she calls Mama and she says, Mama, I really need you. Now, when Mama comes on screen, which her mom's name is Ophelia, she comes on screen and she basically takes over. She's ready to handle things head on, and she's addressing Annalise's issues, basically trying to help her get back in the right place. Now, it's very apparent that her and Annalise have not spoken in quite some time. She also mentioned that she had never been invited to Annalise's home. We also find out a lot about Annalise as Mom comes in and really just starts to communicate with Annalise about their past. And one thing we learn about Annalise is she does not, and she is not a fan of her past whatsoever. We also learn that Annalise changed her name from Anna Mae to Annalise, and her mom still prefers to call her Anna Mae, which really sets Annalise off in this episode. But I thought that was just wow. These are things, and I thought what was really cool about it is we didn't have to go through any flashback episodes to really learn more about Annalise at that time, which I really loved how they played that. It was all just in script and in communication, which let me put in a real life note, you guys. Communication is the key. And I thought that was really cool because they used that to their advantage in this last episode. I really enjoyed it. We also learned that Ophelia did not like Sam and did not want Annalise marrying him and was completely opposed to the idea. We also learned that Annalise had some issues in her past as a child. She suffered from child abuse at the hands of her uncle Clyde. Now, here was the big whoa, wow factor because, of course, we're looking at How to Get Away with Murder, and come to find out that Annalise's mother is a teacher of that herself in some way, or should I say a student of that herself in some way. And what she did was, once she found out about Uncle Clyde, she kind of allowed Uncle Clyde to meet his own demise. She did not help him any, but kind of edged it on, and he ended up dying in a house fire. Now, here's the kicker. I'm thinking she stated that she set the fire with a match, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to go back over it and kind of see exactly what she said, because I know she mentioned having a match and something about a flammable hooch. So I'm taking it she aided the situation, but what happened was Annalise suffered this child abuse but never knew if her mom knew or not. And Annalise housed that for a very long time, all throughout her adulthood into this episode. And what we also found out was Sam, Annalise's husband, he was actually her therapist prior to their relationship and marriage. So that was a huge shocker, and I don't know if that was mentioned prior, but I didn't catch it until this episode, and I was like, what? And so Annalise went to Sam discussing all these issues of her past, which was a serious, serious issue to her. And she was basically saying in this episode that the things that happened to her in her past has made her who she is. So she was going back and forth with her mother with that, and she didn't know if her mother knew about the abuse or just didn't want to do anything at all about the abuse. So when Annalise brought it up in conversation, Mother Ophelia, she ended up pretty much just confessing everything. And what she stated was she got up one night to check on Annalise, and she walks down the hall and she sees Uncle Clyde leaving Annalise's room. She said she knew then what he had done, and basically it just went downhill from there, but she never discussed it with Annalise. And I think that might have been the wrong move, but at the same time, she did take care of it, but she never mentioned it. She never helped Annalise pass the emotional trauma of that happening to her. But what she said was, Uncle Clyde used to fall asleep on the sofa, and first of all, he was staying there because staying with Annalise and her mother, because he says that he didn't have any money, he was broke, and he needed to stay with them until he, got up on his feet. So he was asleep on the couch, and he used to fall asleep with cigarettes in his mouth. So he was a smoker, and he was also a heavy drinker. So one night he fell asleep on the couch with a cigarette in his mouth, fully drunk, and Ophelia just let the cigarette burn. And I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking in my mind, she had to have set the fire, because even then, the cigarette would have to drop out a certain way in order to set a fire, to burn down the whole house. But she said prior to this, she used to go in and, put the cigarettes out. But after she had learned what he'd done a few weeks later, that's what happened. And so when she said that, I think Annalise saw a side of her mother that she never knew, because they never had that conversation. And she was also, Ophelia was telling Annalise this because she wanted to help Annalise with what she was going through. Even though Annalise never revealed to her mom what she had done or what was happening or how much she knew about Sam's death, her mom just said to her, I know that you're doing what's necessary and what should be done. And so she used that story to kind of console Annalise through what she was going through. And they had this conversation as Annalise sat there and let Ophelia comb her hair. It was beautiful, because you really felt it was real, and that real connection between a mother and a daughter, and things that have gone through in the past. And sometimes we want to throw things at Mama because she's on this whole nother kick, and then Mama has this attitude where she's gonna always be Mama and try to get in your business and tell you what to do. So it had a lot of those real moments. And me, being a daughter and being and my mother, we are really, really, really close, and I talk to her every day. And sometimes I'm just like Annalise, like, Mom, really, can you please step aside, go somewhere, do something, sit down, something. So I could kind of relate to, that mother and daughter relationship that they had going, and I thought it was awesome. And once again, Cicely and Viola did a wonderful job on screen. I just watched a video of Viola accepting an award, and she credited Cicely Tyson for being the first actress, or the one that she looked at when she was little. And at that moment, when she saw Cicely acting, she said, I want to be an actress. And I can't imagine how awesome that is, to know that you said that as a child, from watching your childhood, I guess you could say, idol of sorts, someone that has motivated you and kind of mentor you to be who you are, just by them being themselves. And then all of a sudden you share the screen with them. I know that has to be such a beautiful feeling. So I hopefully will see more episodes where Annalise and her mother are connecting and growing more past the things that they've revealed here in Mama's Here Now. And at the end of this episode, we see Annalise back in her suit and ready to tackle the next thing and correct her mistakes and help Nate out, since Nate is in prison. She has her suit back on. She's been in bed the whole episode. And Viola rocked it out, because the girl was crying real tears, and real snotting from real tears. It was amazing. So I really did enjoy the episode, and I'm actually really excited about what they do in the next 2 hours. The next 2 hours is going to set the stage for season two, and it'll let us know if the writers are going to stay on track, if they're going to stay this strong, if they're going to have more ideas. if the pressure's going to be on. And that's what I really love about shows that can, and writers that can keep that momentum going throughout every season. I really do love that. And so I'm gonna have to come back with another review of one of my favorite shows. It's a comedy, but I feel like the comedy has some huge replay value. And so shows like that, and I'm hoping that How to Get Away with Murder also lines up in that category, because I've seen so many shows start off strong but they fold under after a few seasons. And so hopefully the season finale will reveal how strong they'll really be entering into their next season. And I'm so happy that they have had success with the show, because Annalise's character has really come out. She's all natural. She's showing her realness, whether made up or no makeup, wig or no wig. And it's really beautiful to see that much rawness on TV. It's really awesome, and to see the success of that. So I'm rooting for the show to continue to go on as strong as it is. Okay, so moving right along, you guys, let's talk about Wes and Rebecca. Let me take a deep breath on that note, because I have a good bit to say about that. It's just a hot, flaming mess. Okay, Wes, he must have really liked Rebecca at the beginning. Okay, now Rebecca's the chick, she's kind of goth, kind of dark. Um, she came off as innocent, which I think the writers did a great job in us thinking that Rebecca had nothing to do with Lila's death. And I thought, me personally, that we were past Lila's death and we were just now, rolling on and going to Sam's death, and that they was gonna write it off as, hey, maybe Sam killed Lila. And of course, before they found Sam's body, which that was also a hot mess, but when they found Sam's body, before then, Sam was just missing and could have been on the run for killing Lila. So, of course, now everybody else ever suspected of killing Lila is kind of, off. And they're not having to worry about being brought up on charges, because Sam is looking like the main suspect. So, this is what's really tripping me out. Wes, in the beginning, was so strong and adamant about protecting Rebecca. Me personally, I think Wes was not thinking clearly. Also, I feel like he did not get to know Rebecca. He did not really have too many conversations with Rebecca, because in the beginning, all she used to do was like slam the door in his face and talk really fast and walk down the stairs with her head turned against him, still talking. So she's like on the move, never really stopping to give him the time of day. So, what would make a guy go that far out of his way, including committing a murder for this girl? Because, of course, it was out of self defense, but still, he's protecting her up until that point. And then all of a sudden, now, in this last episode, we see Wes totally questioning Rebecca's innocence. Now it's coming across that Rebecca could be guilty, and that's really becoming clear to Wes. And I'm thinking that he's really sick over that thought, and he's already not sleeping. And I didn't think that I thought Wes, out of everybody else, and this is really shocking to me, I don't know if anybody else thought this, but I thought that he was going to be the coolest of them all. I didn't think he was going to have any problems, because the Wes then, up until that murder, and even after, when they went to, burn the body and hide the body, he was, going strong. He was hounding it out. He wanted everybody to get on board. He talked everybody into getting on board. And that's the other students who are involved but didn't necessarily commit the murder, but they witnessed it. And so I'm thinking, all of a sudden, it's like, this is a bad time for you to now be going crazy. And now the girl is not, she may be guilty, she may not be innocent, but we haven't proved that yet. But it's such a bad time for you to now think, okay, maybe she could have done this. If Wes had a thought a little longer before he made any actions toward Rebecca at any point in time, he even went against Annalise for Rebecca, basically making sure that Annalise protected Rebecca and got her off of the murder charges and all that stuff. And they even did some sneaky things and framed somebody else for that momentarily just to throw them off the scent of Rebecca's. So it's so much going on, and now it's a huge possibility that she may have done it. And that's wow to me. And I don't think Wes is ever going to be the same after, if that's revealed. I don't think he's ever going to be the same. But how he's finding this out is because he's living in a dorm room uh that used to belong to, or that another student stayed in. His name was Rudy. Rudy had some issues. Now, if Rudy was really on drugs at the time, or if he was being drugged, that haven't been revealed. Rudy has just made an actual physical presence besides him just being mentioned by name in the show, but he just made a physical presence in this last episode. And Rudy is actually in a psychiatric institution, which at the time, Wes thought that Rudy was just in jail, or, he had been arrested, just hadn't returned. Now, the way Rebecca tells it is that he was going crazy, he was high, and she just called the cops, but she had never really spoken to him or dealt with him on a, conversation level before that point. So there was really nothing for her to hide from Wes. Well, when Wes gets to the psychiatric institution, and him and Laurel, they pose as a couple, and Laurel is also posing as Rudy's sister, which works with the nurse. They allow Wes and Laurel to go in the room with Rudy and speak with him. Now, when they go in this room, Rudy is very quiet. His head is down, but he does lift his head up to acknowledge them, but he does not speak. And so, what's really interesting is he did not freak out when they came in the room, because, of course, any person, if they don't know you and you're claiming to be family or whatever, they would easily be like, just go off and like, I don't know you, get away, and really have that rant. But he did not. He was very silent. So Wes and Laurel are asking him these questions, and what happens is Wes pulls out his phone, and at the time Rebecca's calling him, but he's been ignoring her calls and coming up with all kinds of lies because he really doesn't want to be around her at the time. He's thrilled at the thought that, okay, this chick is lying to me. So he ignores her call, but the picture stays up on the phone, and he shows the picture to Rudy. When he shows the picture to Rudy, Rudy absolutely, you can just see it in his face, his countenance totally changes, even from being silent and holding his head down. You can see the tears in his eyes, and he utters the word wet 3 times when they ask him, "What did you say? What did you say?" And he says one word, and that's wet. And when he says that, Wes takes it as, oh my gosh, she probably did this. This may have really happened at the hands of Rebecca, because he was thinking about Lila being found in the water tank at the school. And so when he thought along those lines, that's basically where this episode ends. And so, oh, actually, not before we see Rebecca tracing Wes's phone. Now, how long has she been doing that? That is absolute madness to me. I mean, I'm really thrilled. I'm like, what is going on? So there's about to be a huge twist. And in the trailer or the promo for the season finale, we see Annalise charging into Wes's dorm room. It appears to be, but sometimes in trailers it's not as it seems either. So it could be taking place somewhere else and something else, but I don't know. But she goes into a room and she's opening the door, and then there's this shock on her face, and Laurel's there and Wes is there, and so it's going to be interesting to kind of see what unfolds. Will there be another death? Will Rebecca turn on everybody else? Is Rebecca really a cold and twisted killer? Is she? Has she done this before? Because if she's been that good to portray innocent the way she is, that has to be a learned skill. Seriously. Like, no one's that calm, and no one can jump on using someone else that easily unless they're used to it. Like, usually your first time is a lot more messier, and right now Rebecca does not come off as messy. and she's always been dark. Another question I've had is, if she killed Lila, what is her motive? Why would she kill Lila? And if Lila was indeed the one sleeping with Sam, which is Annalise's husband. Of course, we've learned too that Sam was not faithful to Annalise on a couple of occasions. Even in the few episodes prior to his death, he was hitting on Bonnie, and apparently him and Bonnie had a relationship of some sort. And Bonnie is one of Annalise's lawyers and employees that work for her particular firm. So that was interesting to find out. And I felt like Sam was really guilty at first. And another thing I noticed too is Sam was very annoyed by Rebecca. I'm kind of wondering if Sam and Rebecca could have had a relationship. That's one of my thoughts, and I'm thinking I could be totally wrong and off my rocker on that. But I can't think for a moment why Rebecca would want to kill Lila. And from the flashbacks that were shown with Rebecca speaking with Lila, Rebecca and Lila were or became close friends. They were two different girls from two different lifestyles. Um, Lila seemed to be, coming up maybe in a high end family, and Rebecca is more of that street girl, goth girl, dark girl. And anyway, they made this connection, and Lila was pretty much telling Rebecca a lot of intimate secrets, especially about her and Sam. But at the time, though, Rebecca didn't know it was Sam because Lila was giving Rebecca an alias name. She would not tell who he was, but knew that he was a teacher or a professor of some sort, but didn't know who. So it's kind of weird, and I can't wait to see how they roll that all in the finale, because there has to be more to it. Either Rebecca was lying about her being as close to Lila, or something went down between her and Lila that made her go to that extreme to kill her if she did. But I thought Sam was guilty 100%. So I was really shocked to see it turn around and come back full circle on, oh my gosh, everybody's doing this and covering for this girl, and she could have very well done it. And what makes me skeptical of Rebecca a little bit is how she was saying to Wes that she'll turn herself in for everybody, and how she appeared to be concerned about what happened to everybody else, opposed to um basically just saying, okay, take care of me. So it looked like she, kept going and saying, I could take care of this, I could do this, I want to do the right thing. For her to actually, if she did it, that, wow. I think there's more to her past than that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that revealed at the finale. And let's see, who else can I chop up on really quick? Laurel, don't like her. I'm going to tell you guys, she is so messy. I wish she would go sit down. Now, Laurel is the brunette. Is she brunette? Okay, forgive me, you guys, if I get her hair color wrong. But she's the one that's having this type of on again, off again fling with Frank. Frank is another one of Annalise's lawyers and employees of her firm or whatever. But she gets on my nerves because every time she sees Frank, she's discussing this murder. She's discussing the cover up. She's constantly in their business, and she doesn't know how to shut up and just live her life. And as a matter of fact, she's more in the clear than Wes, Rebecca, Connor, because Connor was the one driving the car and also assisting in dumping the body, but her hands are a little cleaner than everybody else's, but yet she is one of the messy ones. Just not good at all. So she was another one. I was like, oh gosh, she's on my nerves. But I think she may help Wes out a little bit. So maybe I'll begin to like her a little bit more after the finale. But we'll see. But those are my thoughts right now, you guys, on How to Get Away with Murder. I think that the show is going along great, and it has evolved since the pilot. And I would say the first 3 episodes I was kind of nervous, like, oh gosh, how long are they gonna drag this on about who killed Sam? Because in the beginning, of course, you see that it's Sam's face, but it basically it's going back. It kept going back into the past instead of present day. And so once it moved past that, it's been a really, really great show to watch, and it has some serious, I guess you could say, thriller or suspense type moments. And so we'll see how they leave us on the finale and how much I like it. I am planning on reviewing the finale, so definitely watch out for that. And if you have some ideas and some predictions of the show of your own, definitely leave me a comment. I try my best to respond to all comments. I love to engage in conversations, just kind of hearing your thoughts on what's going on. And if you have enjoyed my review, please, please, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And once again, this is Monica Mize. You can visit me anytime at my TV home at www.tvandpopcorn.com. I will talk to you all soon. Enjoy whatever time of day you are watching this video.